We want to take some time now and point a spotlight at our climate crisis, the same one fueling more and more extreme natural disasters like the historically severe wildfires we've seen these last few years and this summer's record heat wave that killed close to 100 Oregonians. Now, scientists have stressed to us that you can't judge the status of the climate crisis as a whole by one or two weather events. You need a larger sample size gathered over a longer period of time. So we talked to a climate scientist at NASA about their latest findings out today for the planet as a whole.
What is the big headline of these most recent findings?
The big headline coming out is that NASA and NOAA teamed up and concluded that 2021 was the sixth warmest year on record, basically tied with 2018 in that place. But one of the things that's most significant to scientists like me is that the 8 past years, the 8 most recent years, have been the 8 warmest years on record that goes back over 150 years. So this really dramatic warming that we've seen over the past decade, that continues, and we see more evidence of that in 2021. Really what we've been concerned about for many years and are now seeing play out is that all of that heat that's trapped in the atmosphere by greenhouse gases, that's fuel to many of these extremes. That's fuel to prolonged heat waves, that's fuel to drought, in places like California, Colorado, which can lead to these record-breaking wildfire seasons that we're seeing. And in other parts in the eastern U.S., we're actually seeing, more intense rainfall, more intense storms. So this is really some of the reasons that, we're so concerned about the impacts of climate change in our local communities. And you're totally right that these, these very, very intense heat waves that you guys experienced and suffered through are incredibly damaging because we see many people, they're not prepared for this kind of heat. The houses aren't built for this kind of heat. The infrastructure is not built for this kind of heat. So when you start to throw that into places that aren't expecting it, you see these dramatic and unfortunately deadly effects.
Yeah, effects that we've seen here in Oregon, as she said, in person. And that point driven home, our team decided to ask an admittedly kind of cliche TV interview question, but frankly, it was one that we felt like was warranted.
Is this just a dire headline and a dire message being delivered? Is there, not to be, Pollyanna about it, but is there any reason from your end to be hopeful or to think that this is still something that can be turned around, especially realistically, like given the conversations that we are having as a society?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think this is what people are asking a lot. And I would say I don't consider this dire, but I consider it serious and urgent. So I hope people, there is a real thing about stress and anxiety. I don't want people to feel stressed. I don't want people to feel anxious, but I hope they feel motivated to take action and to do so quickly. I think there are some reasons for optimism. Look, we know what the problem is. We know the problem from this is that this warming is caused by greenhouse gas. That's caused by emissions from human activity. So even though it's difficult, we know what the problem is and we know how to address it. And we're seeing examples all across our community at local scales. Cities in some cases are being very proactive at reducing emissions. I know there's places in Oregon where you guys are being proactive in banding together to reduce emissions. So there is some hope, but there's also reasons to understand what's going on and be concerned.
All right. Keep sending in your questions and your comments to the story at kgw.com. We're going to finish the show next.